Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting Apple CEO Tim Cook there at the Silicon Valley. Remember, this is India's Prime Minister's first visit in about 3 decades at the Silicon Valley. Nidhi Razdan now joins us for more. Nidhi, it's over to you. What is going on there?
Well, this is, in a sense, the first major meeting with the CEO that the Prime Minister has. As we speak, you can see there pictures of Apple CEO Tim Cook calling on the Prime Minister here at the Fairmont Hotel in San Jose. And after this, there's also going to be a call on by Satya Nadella, also of Indian origin, as we know, of Microsoft, who will be calling on the Prime Minister in a little while. He'll be meeting Google's Sundar Pichai tomorrow when he goes to the Google campus. And these companies really represent the who's who of the technology world here in Silicon Valley. Interestingly, all of these people also had just met the Chinese President Xi Jinping when he was here in the United States. They were also part of a White House dinner for him. So it's interesting that these two visits, in a sense, have come in the same week, and both India and China have been wooing these big companies. So Tim Cook is the first major face and known name of the tech world who is calling on the Prime Minister. And as I said, more such call-ons expected in the next couple of hours before the Prime Minister makes a big speech at the Digital India dinner here in San Jose. Divya?
Right. Also, Nidhi, of course, this is viewed as one of course, Prime Minister's pet projects. How much of these meetings really will translate into more business for India, more investors, is what really the Indians are looking at?
Well, certainly that's what's going to be key, because the Prime Minister has been very keen to get these bigger companies like Google, etc., to be part of the Digital India initiative. Sundar Pichai has already announced the kind of work Google wants to do on Digital India and what kind of targets it's looking at. It's looking at getting some 20 million small businesses online in the next few years, looking at getting some 50 million women in India online and connected as well in the next few years. So Google is very enthusiastic about this, and certainly for their expansion plans, this is an important initiative. So similarly, it will be interesting to see beyond the sort of words and promises and speeches that are made here over the next day and a half, what really translates into action and in terms of real investment in India into the Digital India initiative, certainly by these bigger companies, and also whether an enabling environment is created for Indian startups to do well, to start and to succeed.
Right. Also, a lot of expectations from the Indian entrepreneurs there, Nidhi. The Prime Minister's promise of a minimum government and maximum governance. What are their expectations really from his visit?
Well, their expectations basically are, that there should be a greater ease of doing business, that they should be able to. Many of them are already investing in Indian startups back home, particularly in Bangalore. Many of them are big investors, they are angel investors, and they would like to see an environment which allows that to sustain. One of their big complaints is that Indian processes are just so complicated and tax laws are so difficult that, it's very hard for anyone to exit a startup, because 90% of startups actually fail. And it's very difficult in India to be able to exit one once you're in it. So these are some of the things that they're hoping the Prime Minister will address in his meetings with them over the next day and a half, and will really look at clearing up those bottlenecks, because if Startup India has to succeed, for instance, it really needs to have that environment to be able to do that. What Silicon Valley is famous for is creating an environment that encourages innovation, that encourages talent, and also encourages people to invest and to fund startups. And funding is another big problem that Indian startups often face. So that is those are some of the gaping holes really that the government will need to look at and to learn from the Silicon Valley experience. Maybe you can't replicate things completely back in India, but there are certainly the things that can be learned from the way Silicon Valley has created an environment for startups to succeed.